Hey, so I was kind of brainstorming today and I was just kind of thinking, I was like in the mood to film and I wasn't really sure what I wanted to film. So I like to put book videos up on Tuesdays for some reason and then do my other videos on either Thursdays or Saturdays. That's how I keep organized. So I decided to do a last minute book video. I don't put up a ton of book content, but I do some like my what I reads and stuff like that. But I've been kind of more on a roll, more inspired, and so I'm gonna do that. So when I was sitting around and thinking today, I was trying to think of like what I could talk about today, and I realized I have a list of books that I have just been sitting on, some for a shorter time and some for kind of a long time. So I read multiple books at a time. I like to read the thing that I want to read. So sometimes when I'm reading a novel, I really love it and I charge right through it. And other times I really love it and I read it for a couple days and then I want to read something else, something easier, something more challenging, something more mysterious, whatever. So I'm going to give you a quick overview of the 9 books in my currently reading list in Goodreads. So I'll maybe go from most recent to longest read. My most recent one is Little Fires Everywhere. This is a super popular book if you pay attention to novels at all. This one came out last year. I believe it's going to be made into a movie. I want to say Reese Witherspoon and someone else that I cannot think of is going to be in it. I'm only about 126 pages in, and I have been dragging in this, and honestly it wasn't until I hit like page 84 that I kind of was like, there's nothing that happens on page 84. I just know that like I started there and I was much more focused. I also read Everything I Never Told You by this same author and I felt the very same way. So I think it's maybe just her writing style, but I do like the story. It takes place in the suburbs with a kind of well-to-do suburban family, and a kind of misfit mother and daughter come into the picture and things start to change a little bit. So yeah, I want to like this one. I like it more now than I did yesterday, and that's all I know so far. The next one I started 2 weeks ago and I was really excited to read. This was Every Day by David Levithan. Is that how you say his last name? I have read some by him. This one was a movie. I think it came out in February. It's this person takes a different body every single day. So they're different people every single day. The premise of this seems really cool. It seems like you're going to kind of dive into friendship and falling in love. And we start the book as he is a male and takes a special interest in the male's girlfriend and keeps that special interest while he's moving through other bodies. Again, I'm not very far in this one. I'm only on page 72 and I'm again kind of dragging. I know that people really like this book. It's very popular, so I'm hoping that I will be more into it. This author also wrote Nick and Nora's Infinite Playlist and the Dash and Lily books, and I felt the same way about both of those books. It kind of dragged a little bit and I wanted to be more invested than I am. I don't think the movie has done very well, so we'll see about this one. The next one is a classic. It is also a movie that is coming, or no, that's out now. It is A Wrinkle in Time. I read this book years ago. I went through a phase when I was in my mid-20s where I was reading a bunch of like younger adult fiction. This might even be considered children's. I'm not really sure if this is considered young adult, but movie currently out. I started to listen to it on audio again last summer. I hated the narrator. I hated the voice. It just drove me crazy. So I am rereading it, and I loved it the first time I read it, and I'm not connecting as much to it, but I am going to try to finish it this week. I'm on page 128 out of 230-ish. So hopefully, I loved this the first time, so I want to like love it again, but maybe I have set myself up. Last physical copy of a book, I started reading Intuitive Eating last summer. This is a super popular book if you pay attention to any kind of like eating, diet, holistic, like any of that kind of stuff, this book always comes up. It was written in the mid 90s. This is the 3rd edition, and it's supposed to be quite good. And I mean, if you watch any of my other videos, you know I'm kind of on the path to wellness, and I do want to reread this. I just kind of paused and have been reading Whole 30 books, so I think I will go back to this. My goal this year was kind of to be reading like a self-improvement book at least once a month. So I also have You Are a Badass, but I haven't started that one. Just like different books like that. So I want to read this, and I will get to that eventually. Now, 2 audiobooks that I have started and have not finished. One is Interview with a Vampire. I started that last October. I do like it. I like the narrator's voice, but I just kind of like am not that invested in the story. When I stop listening to it, I don't ever care if I go back to it. So I'm not sure about that one. I've only honestly listened to like 4 hours of 14 hours, and I don't feel like the plot has really like moved. And I kind of get that impression from people who actually read physical copies. I think I will finish it at some point, but that one might be one that I finish like in 6 months. Like maybe I finish it this Halloween or something. I don't know. We'll see. And another one that I really enjoy is Northanger Abbey by Jane Austen. I've never listened to any of her books, I don't think. I haven't even read a lot of Jane Austen. I've read Pride and Prejudice, and that might be the only one that I've read of hers. I feel like I'm wrong there though, so I'm just not thinking. But this is a good one. It's supposed to be like her kind of taking the piss out of like these romantic stories, and I really like it. And I have the Audible edition that has multiple characters, like multiple voice actors in it, and Emma Thompson is the main narrator, and it's actually very well done. It's not very long. I just haven't gone back to it. I'm about halfway through, I think. So the last 3 that I have going are on my Kindle. It's really hard to show my Kindle because it has a shiny screen. It's very difficult to show with the lights. So I'll just insert pictures. The first one is called In the Absence of Sun, and that's actually by Emily Curtis. And it looks very similar to the Milk and Honey Rupi Kaur vibe. I'm not sure if that's the vibe they were trying to go for, but it feels very similar to it. I'm almost finished with that one. I think I'm about 70% done with that. And it's a very quick read, but again, like I don't have the pull towards that one that I did with like the Rupi Kaur, Milk and Honey, like that kind of stuff. I don't have the same connection with it, but again, it's not terrible. But I wouldn't say like, yes, go read it, because it's so like the poems are very, very short and just don't feel like I'm like, me personally, I don't feel connected with them as much. Another one is Neverwhere by Neil Gaiman. I actually don't know if that's how you say his last name. That's a little awkward because he's a super famous author. This one, I started, let me look and see how far I am. I am 16% in that one. I got it at it was like a Kindle sale. It was like $1.99 or something. Started it, and I just haven't gone back to it because it's on my Kindle. I find it easier to carry physical books with me throughout the day because I don't worry about like leaving my Kindle places. So I just haven't, but that one is super, super good. I'm only 16% into it, but I really, really enjoy that one so far. And my last one is the one that I have been reading the very longest. I started reading Just Kids by Patti Smith a year and a half ago or something, and I want to love it so much. And there are sections of the story that I love so much. You can feel the reminiscent like love story between her and Robert, and between her and this time period, and it's super cool to hear her talk about her becoming an artist and just like the romantic vibe of that. But there are some parts that I'm just like dying. I find it kind of dragging, and I feel like I'm the only person that feels that way because people love this book. For me with this book, it's better to just read it really slowly and enjoy it. I did try to listen to it on audio years ago, and she reads it herself, But I found it very slow paced, and I was trying to listen to it in my car, and it just like wasn't the one to listen to in a car. But I am going to finish it at some point, and my goal is to finish it soon. For some reason, I feel like I need to read it before like summertime, like before my birthday next month. So we'll see. I don't know why I have that pull towards that book specifically, but that is my last book of the 9 that I'm sitting on. I'm curious to know if other people read this many books at one time. I'm curious to know, like, do you keep going in books that maybe like I mentioned where you're not that drawn to it, but like it's fine? Do you keep going? I usually have no problem being like, meh, not into this book at all. So for some reason, these ones I feel like I want to finish, and I will finish hopefully this year. I said that about the Just Kids. I wanted to finish that before the end of the year, and A Wrinkle in Time last year, and I didn't do it, obviously. One of my biggest problems is that I just constantly want to read more and more and more, and I don't have enough time to like do my life and to read all the books that I want to read, and also watch the YouTube, and also be on Instagram, and also like doing these different things that we do, and like connecting with the people that you love. So let me know if there are any books that you've been sitting on for a really long time. I would like to know if you just give up. Do you keep reading? And I feel like people are gonna like maybe judge me a little bit for the Patti Smith, because it's such a like one of those books that everybody loves. But I would love to hear anybody's opinions on these, and any others of yours that are stuck on your bookshelf. So thank you for watching, and I will talk to you again very soon.